My husband demanded I name our son after his deceased best friend. Today I discovered the friend was actually his affair partner who died in a car crash with him. Now he's furious I've changed our son's name on the birth certificate before he's discharged from the hospital. 6 months into my pregnancy, Jason became obsessed with naming our son Ethan. He'd never mentioned this name before, but suddenly it was non-negotiable. When I asked why, he explained that his best friend from college had died in a car accident 3 years ago, before we met, and he'd always promised to name his firstborn after him. The story seemed plausible. Jason had transferred universities midway through his degree, which he'd explained was due to struggling after personal issues. I'd never met his college friends since we met after graduation. As my due date approached, Jason became increasingly emotional about the name, keeping a photo of Ethan by our bedside and talking to my belly about living up to his namesake. Something felt off, but I dismissed it as pregnancy paranoia. Our son was born last week. When the nurse asked for the baby's name, Jason immediately said Ethan before I could speak. I was exhausted from 26 hours of labor and too tired to argue yesterday while Jason was at work. His mother visited the hospital. She brought a memory box she'd made for the baby filled with family photos. As we flipped through pictures of Jason as a child and teenager, she paused at his college graduation photo. "It's such a shame Melissa couldn't be here to see her namesake," she said, pointing to a young woman standing next to Jason in his cap and gown. I asked, confused. "The baby's named after Jason's friend Ethan." Her face changed immediately. She tried to backtrack, but it was clear she'd revealed something she shouldn't have. After she left, I called Jason's cousin Ryan, who I've always gotten along with. With some hesitation, he told me the truth. There was no. The person who died in the car accident was a woman named Melissa Ethan Morgan, Jason's girlfriend of 3 years. But that wasn't all. Jason wasn't just a passenger in the accident. He was driving. They were returning from a weekend away together when he lost control of the car. Melissa died at the scene. Jason was hospitalized for months with severe injuries. The most devastating part. This happened 2 years into our marriage, not before we met. The business trips Jason took quarterly to Chicago were actually weekends with Melissa. The accident occurred during what would have been another business trip, only I was 5 weeks pregnant at the time. While I was experiencing morning sickness and sharing our happy news with family, my husband was planning a getaway with his longtime girlfriend. When I confronted Jason at the hospital today, he broke down. "I need to honor her," he sobbed. "I promised I'd never forget her. Naming our son after her is all I have left. You promised your affair partner you'd name our child after her." I was shaking with rage while I was pregnant. "You don't understand what we had," he said, his voice hardening. "I loved her in a way I've never loved anyone." While he was sleeping in the hospital chair beside me last night, I asked the nurse about changing the birth certificate before discharge. This morning, I officially named our son Lucas James after my grandfather. Jason discovered the change when the nurse came in with discharge papers, listing our son's legal name. He's furious, claiming I've stolen his chance to make things right and dishonored Melissa's memory. His mother is begging me to reconsider, saying Jason needs this for closure. His cousin Ryan is the only one supporting my decision, calling it the least toxic option in a completely messed up situation. I'm being discharged tomorrow. I've already arranged to stay with my sister while I figure out next steps. Jason keeps swinging between rage and desperate apologies, insisting he's fully committed to our family now. But I keep thinking, if the accident hadn't happened, how long would the affair have continued? Would he have eventually left me for her? Was I ever actually his first choice? And most disturbing of all, is our son just a replacement for what he lost with her? Some promises should never be made, and some secrets should never be kept. But at least my son won't grow up as a living memorial to his father's affair.